Joni, people all around us, folks that are listening right now, are suffering. Some in our audience may have an extremely painful cancer. They may have a heart problem. They may have migraine headaches. They may have rheumatoid arthritis. Some, like you, have either spinal cord damage where they've got paraplegic or they're quadriplegic. Others, because of diabetes, have even had their hands or feet amputated. Some, like my mom, have Lou Gehrig's or ALS disease and can't walk or talk. Some are suffering from a painful brain tumor or multiple sclerosis. And they're saying something like this: Joni, I can't take it anymore. Why does God let me suffer like this? Does God really care about my problems? Why did he allow this to happen? All right? And you said some of these exact same words when your accident took place. And I want you to go back 45 years to 1967, if you would, and take us back to the time. People want to know the story. What happened? Why have you been confined to that wheelchair? You were a vibrant 17-year-old girl, excellent horseback rider, the whole shooting match, you love the outdoors, and boom, all of a sudden you were faced with the fact you never had the hope of walking again. What happened?
Well, I'm so grateful that you mentioned all those medical conditions at the onset, because people don't have to be in a wheelchair to identify with those questions, the kinds of angst that I went through as a young kid. I was athletic, happy, on my feet, looking forward to college in the fall. My sister, Kathy, because we were close, suggested that I go to the beach with her that day just for one more sisterly connection before I headed out to college. And I went down to the beach, went into the water, swam out to this raft that was maybe anchored 20 yards offshore, and saw little children jumping, diving off of it, didn't think anything of it. Athlete that I was, I didn't even touch bottom, so I really didn't know the depth of the water. Hoisted myself up onto that raft and didn't even take a deep breath, but plunged into the water. And immediately my head hit something hard, snapping my neck back, crunching my vertebrae, severing my spinal cord. I didn't know what had happened at first. All I knew was that I was lying face down in the water, and my breath was going fast. I did not realize it, but my sister Kathy, she had her back turned toward me. She was facing the beach. She was ready to walk up onto the sand. But just at that instant, a crab bit her toe. And it so startled her that she whirled around in the water to scream to me, "Joni, watch out for crabs." And when she did, now this is really odd, when she did, she saw my peroxided white blonde hair floating on the surface of the water. It just so happened the night before, on a whim, I had gone to the drugstore and gotten a bottle of nice and easy Midnight Summer Blonde peroxide to color my hair. And we decided later on, she said, "Joni, I would never have seen you had there not been that shock of white hair against the murky water." Well, I'm still lying face down, holding my breath. But this crab had alerted her. She saw my hair. She knew something was wrong. And she came swimming for me quickly. And just as I started to drown, just as I ingested water, she put her arm under my chest and jerked me up out of the water. That snapped my head back against her chest, but in that instant I saw my arm slung over her shoulder, dangling, and yet I couldn't feel it. It was like separated. It was like somebody else's arm. This wasn't me. Was this a bad dream? And I didn't realize at the time, but I was experiencing what paralysis really feels like. Well, they put me on this raft, dragged me up onto the beach, called the ambulance, whisked me off to the hospital, ripped off my bathing suit, and in the next instant, I've got crowds of nurses and doctors around me. They're shaving my head, they're drilling holes into my skull, they're attaching bolts to my skull, they're putting me on this striker frame, this long flat canvas sandwich to stretch out my neck with weights at the far end of the frame, and I'm thinking, I just want to go home. I just wanted to go home. And I was frightened. I heard whispers of spinal cord injury, quadriplegia, paralysis, broken neck. I mean, the only thing I knew of a broken neck was when I was a kid and read Black Beauty. And there was some guy who jumped his horse and fell off, and he was the squire's son, and he died of a, quote, broken neck. That's the only thing I knew about it. And I was terrified when I heard those words, because I had a tennis date next Saturday, and I had to get back to the house to get my books together to truck them up to Western College and get into my dorm and put up my pennants, and all of a sudden life just changes, and you don't expect it, and you can't be prepared for it, but it just changes when you get hit broadside with suffering. I didn't even know what that word meant yet. I was to find out what it would mean, but it was my first experience that life from now on was going to be very, very different.